Describe ways in which proportion is achieved. The various ways in which proportion is achieved is as follows: proportion in a pyramid, proportion in steps, proportion in repetition. Let's look at each one of them in detail. Proportion in a pyramid. It's important that while using a pyramid structure in your display, all the blocks of the pyramid should be in proportion to each other. Hence, each consecutive block should be gradually decreased in size than the previous block. Moreover, 2 blocks on either side of the center block should be of the same size to show a proportionate and balanced structure. Proportion is important in the pyramid structure as people will not like looking at a pyramid which is disproportionate. Proportion in steps. It's important that while using a fleet of steps as a structure in your display, all the steps should be in proportion to each other. Hence, each consecutive step should be gradually decreased in size than the previous step. Also, the height of each step should be maintained the same in all the steps to create a good proportionate structure. Proportion is important in the step structure as people don't like to look at steps which are disproportionate. Proportion in repetition. You've seen that repetition is also widely used in displays. However, it's crucial that even when repetition is used, proportion should be maintained in the whole display. So, the individual merchandise items used in the display should be in proportion to all the rest of the merchandise, including the items that are being repeated. Key points to consider for proportion in display. Do not use all large objects in a display. This is due to the fact that you will not be able to break the humdrum and sameness of that large feeling. Create a more proportionate, interesting, and balanced display by using an odd number of smaller and related items in addition to large pieces in a display. Use 2 items of varying sizes to define the size of each item. For example, the size of an elephant is defined when it is shown placed next to a deer. You should use the items in your display to match each other through their size, shape, and color to create a proportionate and balanced display. You should always bear in mind that to create a proportionate display, the ratio of merchandise to space is critical. It's important that you should always choose individual merchandise items to be placed in a display after considering it in relation to others. In order to avoid the error of giving the impression that you are trying to sell your props rather than the merchandise, it's crucial that you keep the ratio of props and show cards to merchandise in proper proportion. Each object placed in a display should not be too big or too small, nor too heavy or too light in proportion to other items.